Statistics Canada released their comprehensive police-reported crime statistics for 2017, and for the third time in 5 years, Thunder Bay had the most murders per capita. There were 7 murders last year, which equates to 5.8 per 100,000 people. Abbotsford, BC, and Edmonton were second and third per capita. Toronto had the most murders with 92 in an area with more than 6 million people. At least 2 of Thunder Bay's murders were gang-related. Acting Police Chief Sylvie Hawks says the spontaneous nature of homicides and other violent crimes make it difficult for the police to respond proactively and reduce some of the more troubling statistics.
It's something from a police perspective that we react to. It's difficult in terms of, for us, it's not like enforcing traffic laws or really looking at things that we can project or be proactive about. Crimes of passion, spur of the moment, see us reacting and really dealing with the situation after the fact.
Thunder Bay also sits at number 2 out of 33 cities on the Violent Crime Severity Index.
When you look at the severity index, it's really based on a number of factors of how the seriousness of the incident is weighted. So the fact that we are only just barely 112, for example, population, and that we have 7 homicides or 8 homicides, the numbers very quickly add up in terms of putting us in those top positions.
Despite the grim numbers surrounding violent crimes, the community has seen some positives in the statistics, most notably in non-violent crimes. Thunder Bay ranks 16th out of 33 cities on the Non-Violent Crime Severity Index, far behind Saskatoon, Regina, Edmonton, and better than the national index. Breaking and entering and general property crime are 2 areas where we've seen noticeable reductions, and House says the community plays an important role in crime mitigation.
Those numbers are great to see. I think it's continued work in terms of internally and working with our outside agencies. We've made great strides in terms of doing things in the community, not just as a police service, but really reaching out to others that can work alongside of us. So it's really working hand in hand, and that in itself. I've always said police can't do it alone, and those partnerships are definitely beneficial, and I think it speaks in some of the improvements that we see.
Houth also says for a city our size, it's very easy to accumulate the numbers necessary to be grouped with some of the larger cities that experience much more crime. So far in 2018, Thunder Bay has seen 2 homicides, and police officials hope next year's national crime stats show our city with a much improved ranking. William Dougall, TBT News. Since 1987, Science North has reached close to 40,000 children from ages 4 to 13 through week-long summer camps. Participants get immersed in science through practical and engaging experiments that spark interest in the scientific principles behind the fun activities. Staff scientist and coordinator Sean Murray says deviating from the classroom setting is key to capturing scientific interest in children.
Science has to be fun and it has to be engaging. So we do things in a bit of an informal way, but we're bringing science into it. So curriculum relevant, anything that they would be maybe learning in school, but making it fun to do so. And that's what we really strive to do. We want to have activities that get their hands dirty, that they get to do experiences that they never would anywhere else, all that sort of thing. That's what we really strive to do.
Federal funding and support are integral for Science North's success in the region as they look to expand to more remote communities. MPs Don Rusnak and Patty Haidu were in attendance to stress the importance of science and its subsequent development in the region.
Well, our government profoundly believes that science is a critical component of the strength of our country, whether we're talking about the economic strength or the policy strength. We can't actually move forward without a good foundational understanding of science, and evidence-based decision-making relies on strong science. And so, the previous government was not a strong supporter of investing in science and research, and in fact, we've reversed that trend.
Science North's strategic plan for the next 5 years consists of expanding camps and increasing exposure to science in boys and girls alike. William Dougall, TBT News. Sexual Assault the Roadshow is a traveling art gallery housed in a shipping container where local artists team up with participants to make art that talks back to sexual violence. The interactive display hopes to raise awareness for initiatives like missing and murdered Indigenous women and the Me Too movement. Artistic director Denise Bolduc says the art is an effective way to give voice to the otherwise voiceless.
It gives voice to sometimes a number of people who don't want to be public with their voice. So art is a medium to be able to express all kinds of issues.
The Ontario Arts Council funded roadshow features public and private sessions for people to see and participate in the art, which represents a plethora of different identities. Artist Michelle DeRosier says the roadshow format puts the issue in the public eye and reduces the stigma around the sexual assault conversation.
Just sort of goes hand in hand with what we're trying to say, that we need to have these conversations. We do need to make it public, because if, just because we don't see sexual assault and we don't see this container, it doesn't mean that it's not here. And I think that we all know that it's here. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create healing and a positive energy here in this park and in our community that's going to contribute to all of us feeling safer.
Sexual Assault the Roadshow will continue until August 26th at Patterson Park. William Dougall, TBT News. What began as a close matchup between Robert Cumming and Jordan Gale in the championship flight of the Strathcona Open soon became one for the history books. Cumming overshot his first putt of the match by 12 feet, but still tied the hole. Cumming found himself up 3 points after the first 7 holes and continued to apply pressure, notching a birdie on holes 6, 7, and 8. A series of strong drives and reliable putts helped bring Cummings his 5th Strathcona Open title. Cummings says familiarity may have helped him bring home yet another title.
Well, this is my home course. I play here all the time and have for ever since I was a kid. So, yeah, it's definitely my favorite course. I was just trying to focus on myself. I just wanted to play a good final, not worry about what he was doing, and just keep plodding along and hit as many good shots as I could.
Cummings' opponent, Jordan Gale, a previous winner as well, had a difficult day and was forced to take some riskier shots in an attempt to break even with his red-hot counterpart.
Runner-up, especially to someone like Robert, who played excellent golf today. He didn't give me any windows. He made me take a few risks, and I didn't make the shots. And, that happens. It's golf.
The last installment of the 3-part District Open will be played over Labor Day weekend. William Dougall, TBT News. The Canada goose is one of the main urban wildlife species around Thunder Bay, but what most people may not realize is that these birds are each responsible for nearly 3 pounds of manure per day. In order to reduce the health risks posed to the public in areas like the marina, the city has employed a number of different preventative measures. The most notable of these solutions are herding dogs, especially trained to ward off geese. Owner of the Tucker Creek Canine Services, Tanya Wheeler, says evolution and training has a lot to do with their success.
The most effective is the dogs, and there's a really good reason for that, and that's the evolutionary relationship between predator and prey. And so although we do use the boats to assist the dogs in things like the marina, without the dogs we don't find the geese intimidated at all.
During the summer months, the goose population is molting and generally flightless, which makes areas along the lake some of the biggest hot spots for geese to culminate, thus relieving the excess of geese from landlocked areas like the golf courses. Wheeler also says the public definitely plays a role in some of the problem areas.
This fountain here at Marina Park is the most popular place to feed geese. We were just here the other day. I have a nice little video on my phone I can show you of a couple and their little girl feeding geese. Well, there is a sign over there that says that, geese, wild birds don't eat white bread and blah, blah, blah. But because people like it, this is urban wildlife. This is the only wildlife that most people see. But it is a challenge for us because we'll come up with the dogs, chase them out, and right behind us comes someone with a bag of bread and feeds the birds.
The patrols of dogs will continue to scare away geese at a number of different golf courses, Boulevard Lake, and the marina in the coming months. William Dougall, TBT News. The Whitewater Golf Club starting out a little soggy on day 1 of the Stahl Foundation Open, following an overnight thunderstorm. Californian Cody Blick, not bothered by some of the slower greens, looking for his first Mackenzie Tour win. And putts like this on hole 9 will help his cause. He sinks the 30-footer to close out his round at 8 under par. Blick says that despite his stellar performance today, his focus is on the rounds to come.
I mean, we're in a good spot, no doubt, but nobody wins the tournament on Thursday, so glad we got a good one out early, and you know, with that rain last night, it's playing kind of easy and it's starting to heat up. So these guys in the afternoon are probably going to tear it up.
Fellow American Zach Fushi, on the other hand, used the driver to vault him up the day one leaderboard. Fushi notes Whitewater is well suited to his style of play, as he's able to drive the ball deep onto the fairway.
Out here, though, it's a lot different than the first three in BC. You can actually hit some drivers out on this course, and before you were hitting a bunch of 2-irons, and that's kind of my best club in my bag right now is my driver. So keeping that, being able to play with that definitely helps me out.
The two locals to tee off Thursday morning, Jeremy Kirk and Walter Keating, put themselves behind the 8-ball. Kirk shot a 6 over 78, but it was Keating's 9 over par performance that was the most disappointing. He knows he'll need a stellar Friday to have any chance to survive until the weekend.
The amount of time I put in, I would have never thought what happened today was going to happen. I'm very disappointed. It's probably one of the more disappointing rounds of golf I've ever played.
A little nervous coming off the first few holes. Tough start, starting on 10, as everyone knows this golf course. But other than that, everything was pretty solid except a few loose swings right at the end there.
William Dougall, TBT News. Camp Quality is known for their year-round support for children living with cancer. But in addition to this support, the organization runs a week-long camp where campers and their volunteer companions embark on a myriad of fun activities like boat rides, swimming, sports, and more. Camp coordinator Ashley Quarles says the campers gain many intrinsic benefits through recreation with like-minded friends.
At Camp Quality, our kids have gone through a lot of the same kinds of experiences. Each cancer experience is different, but there are some similarities certainly in the challenges that it presents, and so for them to find people who have gone through those similar experiences, it gives them that network of support that they really need.
The intrinsic link Quarles spoke about carries on through the camp experience, with kids making friends and having fun in a judgment-free zone where they can just focus on being kids.
A lot of the kids that go through what a lot of us go through, they don't get they get picked on a lot at school, and they just can't find people that appreciate them for who they are. But here, everybody's accepted for no matter what happens with them.
It's important for a place like this to exist because when a child is going through cancer, it not only affects you, but it affects your family and the community around you. So it really helps knowing that there's a place you can go to where you can talk to people, and also it just it's a break from all that treatment and all the thinking of, oh, just cancer and like things like that.
I do make quite a lot of friends here. It's probably just because camp is pretty nice, and I'm able to find a lot, since there's different centers, I'm able to find a lot of people who like the same things I like.
The campers will continue to have fun at camp and learn about science until Saturday afternoon when the camp program comes to an end. William Dougall, TBT News. The city of Thunder Bay has invested $25.6 million this year on a number of different infrastructure improvements such as sidewalk rehabilitation, bridge renewal, and residential paving. Detours and closures can be found throughout the city, but project engineer Rick Harms says significant progress has already been made so far this summer.
We've had a good start this year. We have a number of projects that have already wrapped up for the season. That includes the High Street retaining wall. We had some work in George Burke Park by Balmoral Street. We've completed the project on North Edward Street, and things are moving along.
In addition to these already completed projects, some of the more notable ongoing jobs include the Main Street Bridge renewal and the Arthur Street Storm Separation Project. City officials say these outstanding projects will take additional time because of their complex nature.
The Arthur Street project is what we call a storm separation project, where we're removing street catch basin runoff from what is the original combined sewer system from the city of Fort William, and this will enhance the ability to reduce the risk of basement flooding in areas and loading on at the city's sewage treatment plant.
Harms also says closures and detours will continue to affect traffic for the next 2 to 3 weeks. City officials would also like to remind residents to obey posted signs and drive with additional caution in construction zones. William Dougall, TBT News. Every summer, Baloo's Farms opens up their gates for their annual strawberry picking season, which draws hundreds of people over the course of a few hours each day. This year, however, is a little different as the strawberry crop sits at about half of what it was last year. Jody Baloo's says that the dry winter this past year has had a large impact on the yield of perennial crops like strawberries.
If we can think back to December, we got a lot of cold temps before we had any snow on the ground. And when that happens, we just don't have enough insulation to protect the berries. We do cover them in straw, but we also need snow as an insulator. And if we don't get enough of that before the weather turns really, really cold, then we start to see some damage in the plants. And this year it was a little more than we like to see, and it's probably close to 50%.
Blues also added that the strawberries that survived are of no less quality than previous years, and visitors can still expect the same juicy and delicious strawberries that they have come to love. However, not everyone just came for the taste. Some also stayed for so much more.
I remember when I was a little girl, I visited my grandma and picked some strawberries with her, so that brings me back to my childhood.
It's a very family-friendly place, and the kids enjoy seeing all the little animals and whatnot that they have over there.
Blues Farms asked that for those wanting to bring home batches of strawberries to freeze and save, to visit the farm more than once over the course of the summer.
Starting from here on out, we'll have about 3 weeks, hopefully 4 weeks of the strawberry season. The first day tends to be a little bit slower, so I don't know how many people we got out, but probably a few hundred. And it's a nice slow start for us, for sure. Picking is great. It's going to be great into the weekend.
Blues Farm is open from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tuesday to Sunday for the rest of the summer. And despite a cold winter, the results are looking very good. William Dougall, TBT News.